This is the luxury world. Get inspired with us today and tomorrow. To date, the Tudor Black Bay has grown into a family of watches with something for everyone, including in-house movements, a wide variety of styles and sizes, precious metals, and complications. The Tudor Black Bay first hit the market in 2012 and has since grown into an extensive family of watches with a little something for everyone. Let us all together discover the history of Tudor Black Bay, as well as its current top models. Rolex founder Hans Wilsdorf registered the Tudor trademark in 1926 and started operating it as a subsidiary of Rolex in 1946, with the goal of creating cheap, high-quality timepieces that could be sold to a wide audience. When the waterproof Rolex Oyster casing was first introduced in 1926, Tudor watches were the only ones on the market with trustworthy third-party movements. Tudor timepieces were originally aimed at the tool watch market, whereas Rolex timepieces were already known as luxury products. The first Tudor Oyster watch appeared in 1947, only a few years after the company was founded, and it began a long heritage of clocks appropriate for scuba diving. It wasn't long after that Tudor entered into an R&D cooperation with the French Navy or Marine Nationale, which would lead to the company's first ever dive watch, the Tudor Prince model. The Oyster Prince Submariner. The Tudor Oyster Prince Submariner was Tudor's first watch made specifically for divers. It came out in 1954, a year after Rolex's Submariner and Blancpain's 50 Fathoms, both of which were important dive watches in history. The first Tudor Submariner, reference 7922, had the same Mercedes handset as many Rolex models and was water-resistant to 100 meters. Its successor, reference 7924, increased this rating to 200 meters, which is still the standard for Tudor dive watches today. It was called the Big Crown because it was the first Tudor Submariner with an 8mm winding crown from the previous 5mm. In the years that followed, the watch changed in mostly small ways, mostly in details like the crown guards and the words on the dial. Its biggest change came in 1969. In that year, the now famous reference 7016, which got the nickname Snowflake because of its square-shaped hands and markers, came out. It stayed in Tudor's catalog until the early 1980s and became the model for submariners for the next 10 years. Each of these well-known models would give the Tudor Black Bay an idea or two. Building the Black Bay DNA. Reference 79220R, Tudor's first Black Bay model, was introduced in 2012 and played a significant part in the company's rise from the shadow of Rolex to build a distinct brand identity of its own. As a result of the watch's striking burgundy diver's bezel, it laid the groundwork for all subsequent Black Bay models, and did so by skillfully fusing components from various preceding Tudor dive watches. The Snowflake hour hand from the Black Bay Submariner reference 7016 from 1969 inspired the now iconic Snowflake hour hand. In fact, Tudor's Submariner was designed with the French Navy's divers in mind, who discovered that having two separate hands made it easier to tell time while they were submerged. The 1958 Big Crown model introduced the huge screw-down crown with an engraved Tudor rose symbol. When it comes to dial and sapphire crystal form, the round dots and rectangles with the dominating inverted triangle as the 12 o'clock position are based on Tudor submariners from the 1960s and 1970s. That year, the Grand Prix d'Horlogerie de Genève's Finest Revival Award went to this vintage-inspired watch. It was only a matter of time until the Black Bay became a comprehensive collection, starting with the following year's model, reference 79220B, which had a dark blue bezel to bring the watch back to its marine beginnings, and another variant with a black bezel. This meant that there would be a plethora of new models, with varied case materials, sizes, straps, as well as numerous dial colors to choose from in the future. After that, all that was left to do was to gear them with an in-house movement, in-house calibers and vintage bracelets. While Rolex had moved almost all their movement manufacturing in-house, Tudor continued utilizing off-the-shelf ETA calibers in its Oyster casings. This was in contrast to Rolex. The Tudor Black Bay was first powered by the ETA 2824, which was an automated workhorse movement with a frequency of 28,800 vibrations per hour and a modest 38-hour power reserve. This movement was used for the first few years of the Tudor Black Bay's existence. With the introduction of Tudor's first ever manufacturing movement, the caliber MT5621, Tudor's modern forging of an independent brand identity started in earnest in 2013, with its return to the US market after a nearly decade-long sabbatical. North Flag was the first watch to use the movement, which was notable for its 70-hour power reserve, its silicone balance spring maintained in position by a traversing bridge, and its COSC certified timekeeping accuracy. The MT5621 and its descendants, the MT5612, MT5601, MT5602, and so forth, are currently found in the various Tudor watch models, including practically every Black Bay variation. The bracelets and straps of Tudor Black Bay, which are anything from off-the-shelf, include elements of Tudor's decades-long dive watch heritage. Bracelets in stainless steel are inspired by Tudor watches of the 1950s and 60th century, with visible rivet heads on the bracelet side and a characteristic step-like structure. A French Navy officer constructed a now famous improvised strap from a discarded parachute during World War II. Tudor's long-term partner, 150-year-old French family-owned Julien Faure, weaves the NATO-style cloth straps on 19th century looms. Black Bay. The core Black Bay family is directly derived from the original heritage models. These watches have a diameter of 41 mm and are arranged in the traditional diver's orientation. The cases are largely composed of steel, while the dive scale bezel inserts are made of anodized aluminum. The ETA calibers that were used in the very first Black Bay 41 mm versions have been replaced with the Tudor caliber MT5602, which can be found in the current variants of this watch. The majority of the dials have a matte black finish, but there are a few notable exceptions. One of this is the champagne-colored dials featured on the steel and gold bi-material models. These models have a steel case but are dressed up with yellow-gold crowns and bezels. The models with bracelets also have yellow-gold center links. Black Bay Bronze. Bronze is becoming an increasingly prominent material in contemporary watchmaking. It has a long history of using marine equipment like divers' helmets and ship propellers. In 2016, Tudor debuted a version of the Black Bay with a casing made of bronze. Some collectors place a high value on bronze watches due to the material's tendency to develop a patina over time. This patina imparts a sense of individuality to each watch, reflecting the experiences of the watch's owner. The Tudor Black Bay Bronze has a diameter of 43 mm, making it the biggest model available in the Tudor Black Bay collection. Additionally, it's the only Black Bay model to have Arabic numerals at the 3, 6, and 9 o'clock positions. A subtle appearance is achieved by the combination of the slate gray dial, the brushed bronze case, and the brown aluminum bezel inserts. Black Bay Ceramic. The latest version of the Black Bay in ceramic, which was released with a lot of fanfare in 2021 after previous versions were released starting in 2015, caught the attention of the watch world not only with its all-black stealth design, matte black, microblasted, monoblock ceramic case, black PVD steel bezel with etched ceramic dive scale insert, domed black dial, but also with its movement. Not only did the automatic Tudor caliber MT5602-1U have the COSC chronometer certificate that all Tudor calibers have, but it also had a master chronometer certificate from METAS, the Swiss Institute of Metrology, which measures not only accuracy but also other factors such as resistance to magnetic fields. Both of these certificates are very impressive. Tudor is the sole watch brand to have achieved this certification. with Omega being the only other company to have done so since Omega introduced the master chronometer testing for its own timepieces in 2015. Another GPHG award was bestowed to Tudor in the calendar year of its introduction for the Black Bay ceramic. Black Bay 41, 39, 36, 32, 31. These daily sports watch versions of the Black Bay are distinguished by their fixed and smooth bezels, which, in contrast to the classic Black Bays, have replaced the spinning bezels on those models. The Core Collection's smaller line expansions mark a shift from the Black Bay's typical milieu as a beautiful tool watch for divers and firmly established the watch as part of the everyday category. S&G bimetal Black Bay models are now available in every size, with yellow-gold bezels, crowns, and links enhancing the steel cases and bracelets with a luxurious layer of sophistication. All Tudor S&G models include COSC certified in-house movements made by Tudor. Black Bay 58. For many modern aficionados, the Black Bay 58 series strikes the sweet spot, with its combination of the traditional 41mm diver's bezel and a smaller 39mm case diameter. The 58 subfamily is named after the year 1958, when Tudor released the Oyster Submariner Reference 7924, the clearest forerunner to the Black Bay. The automatic COSC certified caliber MT5402 is a slightly downsized version of the MT5602 caliber and has hosted a number of bold experiments in the areas of color and case materials. Wearing a 58 bronze watch is the most accurate method of telling time that there is. The brown gradient dial is a brown aluminum bezel inlay and a bronze case with a T-fit clasp that accommodates 5 different wrist sizes. Additionally, the dial features a brown aluminum bezel inlay. The Black Bay will be made available for the first time in both 18K yellow gold and 925 silver. This will make the 58 18K and 58 925 even more unique than a bronze bracelet. Both will be introduced to the public in 2021. The gold-plated bezel inserts with gilded diving scales on the Black Bay 18K's dial contrast with its matte taupe dial and bezel insert on the Black Bay 925. Comes with a brown alligator strap. The gold version of this watch has a brown dial, while the silver version has a taupe face. Black Bay Chrono. Tudor did not turn to its parent company Rolex but to an outside supplier, fellow Swiss sports watch manufacturer Breitling, to create the movement for the first ever chronograph watch in the Black Bay family. This was Breitling's first movement in the Black Bay family. Based on Breitling's B01 self-winding movement, caliber MT5813 is fitted with a column wheel-driven chronograph with a power reserve of 70 hours and is certified by the COSC as a chronometer. An anodized aluminum bezel inserted etched with a tachymeter scale rather than a dive time scale ensures that this model is water resistant to 200 meters. The screw-down crown and chrono pushers guarantee that this model is water resistant to 200 meters. In addition to a date window located at the 6 o'clock position, the dials each have a contrasting sub-dial counters located at 3 and 9 o'clock in the traditional and ever-popular panda design. Champagne-colored dials with black sub-dials are featured on the S&G models that are made of stainless steel and yellow gold. Black Bay GMT. Fans of Tudor's Black Bay series were surely curious about what the company would do for an encore in terms of complications after the Black Bay chronograph was released in 2017. A year later, Tudor, now well established as its own collectible brand, turned to a legendary Rolex model for inspiration. Even though it is evident that the Black Bay GMT was influenced by the Rolex's GMT Master, the watch stays very true to the Black Bay's design language. It has a familiar dial that is framed not by the diving scale or the tachymeter scale, but rather by a bicolor 24-hour ring. On this ring, the wearer is able to read the second time zone thanks to the dial's red GMT hand. Rolex's iconic Pepsi bezel from the original GMT Master has been reimagined with a more subdued indigo and burgundy color scheme. If you're a fan of two-tone S&G editions like the Black Bay GMT and caliber MT5662, you'll want to check out this new timepiece. Black Bay Pro. Alongside the introduction of the Black Bay GMT S&G editions at Watches and Wonders 2022 was the debut of another sporty interpretation of a travel watch within the Black Bay family, the Black Bay Pro. The 24-hour GMT scale on this watch is different from the more colorful GMT models because it's engraved into a fixed satin-finished steel bezel. The Black Bay Pro is included to the Black Bay family as well. The automatic MT5662 movement is the same as the one in the Black Bay GMT, but the case is smaller at 39mm and the central hand that shows a second time zone is yellow instead of red, making it stand out even more against the matte black dial. The watch can handle water up to 100 meters or 330 feet. There you have your luxury watch video for today. What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, hit the notification bell, and subscribe to our channel. Please forward this video to someone if you believe we have been helpful. You can express your gratitude for the dedication and effort we all put into making this film with just one share. This is the luxury world, and we'll see you next time.